On the mountain's shoulder, high above where the eagles sleep, Silene lived in a hut of stone and cedar. Beside her was Petria, her grandmother, whose hands were as lined as the mountain paths they walked every morning. Together, they watched the sun wake up the world from their front porch. The valley below was a patchwork quilt of emerald, gold, and violet. Silene often leaned against the split-rail fence, wondering if the colors were painted on by the sunset every evening, or if the flowers down there held a secret they weren't sharing with the peaks. "The mountain gives us what we need, Silene," Petria would say. She spent her afternoons teaching the girl how to identify the silver-leaved herbs and the wild mountain mint that grew in the rocky crevices behind their home. Silene loved the wind the most. On gusty days, she would stand on the very edge of the rocky ledge, spreading her arms wide. She felt like a kite tethered to the earth only by her boots, ready to dive into the sea of clouds. When the clouds turned heavy and iron gray, the pair retreated inside. Petria would stoke the hearth until the fire roared. The orange light danced in her eyes as she told stories of the ancient stone kings who carved the mountains with fingernails made of flint. Silene spent the rainy hours watching the drops race down the window pane. To her, the storm wasn't something to fear. It was simply the mountain washing its face before the moon came out to check on them. One crisp morning, when the air smelled of pine and possibility, Petria handed Silene a carved walking stick. "Today, Silene, we shall see the valley floor," she announced with a mysterious twinkle in her eye. The path was steep and winding, disappearing into the thick canopy of the lower forests. Petria led the way, her steps sure and steady, while Silene followed, marveling at how the giant trees reached up like pillars to hold up the sky. When they finally reached the soft grass of the valley, Silene spun in circles until she was dizzy. She looked back up at the towering peaks and gasped. Their hut was just a tiny speck, a golden spark caught on the mountain's dark shoulder. They returned home as the silver moon rose to take its place. Silene realized that the valley was beautiful to visit, but the hut was where the stars felt like neighbors. Whether she was high above or deep below, she was exactly where she belonged.